Welcome back, true believers, to another Spider-Man PS4 related video. And again, I do apologize for not putting out this video sooner because of how busy I am with college and how it's just been ramming up my you-know-what recently, and I can't do anything about it. Well, actually, I can if I wanted to, but it's just that college has been ruining my entire freedom, basically, and I've been being forced to make these videos late at night where, I have nothing to do and my roommate isn't being a distraction in my room or anything. So I do apologize for the late uploads or like the lack of uploads recently, but I do promise more videos are coming your way stat ASAP because I know you guys love my Spider-Man PS4 related videos and as well as rest of the Spidey Squad videos. Anything I can think of, I'm here for you guys to discuss about the game, whether that's what I would like to see, what could be in the game, what could not be in the game, or what could be happening in regards to what Insomniac Games is showing us. And that is why this video is more personal, because before I've discussed things that we could see in the game that could happen, like logical things, like statistically speaking, on a 99.9% rating of assurance, is what I'm assuming could be in the game. Like, could this happen? Will this happen? How will this incorporate in the game? This is things I would like to see. These are things I would want to see in the game. Me personally, if at least one of these things happens, it would be amazing. And if you guys agree, let me know in the comments, and tell me what your 5 most wanted features in the game are. So right now, of course, the title of this video says it all. These are the 5 features that I want to see in Spider-Man PS4. Again, if at least one of these things happens, I'm gonna lose my mind. So, number 1, GTA 5 intros. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you haven't played GTA 5, which I don't know anyone who hasn't, because that game is one of the most financially successful video games ever, GTA 5 did something really innovative when it comes to opening a game. Again, the game, since it was so big, it took a while for the loading times to actually incorporate into that game. Like, it took a while for the game to load. But then, once it finished loading, it went to the character that you played as last. So either Michael, Trevor, or Franklin. And then it cut to them doing something in the city of Los Santos that is either Trevor tying someone up to a pool deck, or like throwing someone over a bridge, or Michael staying at home watching a movie, or getting a cup of coffee, or Franklin riding his motorcycle, or getting a drink at the bar. I love that. I love seeing things happen with the characters when we are not interacting as them. So with Spider-Man, if that were to happen where we start the game up and then we see Spider-Man beating up some guys, or doing like one of those comic book panels where like his mask is open and he's eating like a hamburger or something, and then he hears a police siren and he has to go save the day. If that happens, or if that type of a feature is incorporated in the game, and knowing the humor Insomniac Games can incorporate within their games, like Sunset Overdrive, they did that even kind of with their respawn animations, where if you died in Sunset Overdrive, you were respawned in one of the most glorious, fantastic ways of all time, either in a coffin, a spaceship dropped you off, some of the enemies throw you out of a van, just crazy random stuff like that. So if they were to do realistic type of intros to the game with Spider-Man, seeing Spider-Man beat up some guys, maybe be Peter Parker going into a coffee shop, getting a cup of coffee, maybe, if we can frame him as Peter Parker, or just being Spider-Man and reading the newspaper at the Daily Bugle, anything like that, I would love to see. So that's GTA 5 intros. Number 2 is something that can actually defeat the Arkham method of combat, because a lot of people consider the Arkham game combat, like Batman Arkham combat, as the quintessential version of superhero combat, not combat in video games, because that could be either reference to also like Assassin's Creed 2 maybe, or even like Beautiful Joe, like as side-scrolling combat. For actual superhero combat, this could be the differentiation between the Arkham combat and this brand new Spider-Man Insomniac Games version of combat. Now, it's a brand new combat system, right? But seeing what we saw so far of him throwing the circuit breaker at the guys and then slamming a guy into the ground, it seems like he's more of, not an aggressive Spider-Man, but more of a talented and acrobatic version of Spider-Man, fighting guys both acrobatically, physically, and environmentally, like using his environment. But another feature that they could use in the game, again, taking what they have done in Ratchet and Clank and Sunset Overdrive, is comedy. And that's something that they have not done in any of the Spider-Man games beforehand or the Batman games beforehand. We've seen Spider-Man say jokes during the combat, like, curse you, Spider-Man, why don't you say more, stuff like that. Like, that's what Spider-Man says to the thugs while he's beating them up, which is great, because that totally incorporates the comedy of Spider-Man. But what if there was actually combat that made funny moments happen while fighting bad guys? Like, if you build up a special meter, you could web someone's pants down, like in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, like in the movie, I should say, where that scene where Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man webs down Paul Giamatti's Rhino, his pants come down. They could do that as a move. You could web someone in their eyes. You could try and slam two guys together, or maybe trip them while fighting them and try and fight them and then make them hurt themselves in really funny ways. It could be comedic combat. Instead of just saying jokes, it could be fighting moves that actually incorporate funny ways of fighting, which is really cool. Number 3, this is going to be discussed in a whole nother video entirely, so watch out for that one, is a web wheel. Take that as you will. It's a web wheel. I'll discuss that in a future video, so tune in for that one. Number 4, awesome background swinging music. The best Spider-Man game to date with the soundtrack for swinging around the city is Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm sorry for you Spider-Man 2 fans. I love Spider-Man 2 as well. My favorite Spider-Man game, though, is Web of Shadows. However, in that game, there was really short moments of music to play while you are swinging in the city. Like, you're not going to fight crime. You're not going to go around beating up guys or finding the spider tokens in the city. You just want to have a good time swinging through the concrete jungle of New York City. And something that can go along great with that for any free-roaming game is background music, whether that's GTA while you're driving in the car, Assassin's Creed while you're sailing in your ship, and, you know, anything like that. We gotta have good, dynamic background ingenuity and music and tunes that can just immerse us more in that world. So, Ultimate Spider-Man was the comics put into a video game. The Ultimate Spider-Man Peter Parker comics stripped out of the comic book pages and put into a video game. That was both for the art style, the way the characters were making their dialogue happen, the way they interacted with each other, and the way the story enveloped, as well as the soundtrack of that game. That soundtrack for the game is incredible. I mean, seriously, just look up Ultimate Spider-Man, the game soundtrack. Listen to Overworld Theme 4. That is my favorite soundtrack song in that game. And you'll see why when you're swinging through the city in that game with that song playing in the background. There were so many like grunge, metal, techno, pop type of music incorporated into that game, and I loved it. And the new Spider-Man games, like the Amazing Spider-Man games, they've had kind of heroic music, like dun 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 dun, like not Superman heroic music, but kind of like it's the same loop over and over again. I remember the Amazing Spider-Man 2 had dun 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 dun. It was over and over and over again, no diversity between the music. It made me kind of want to fall asleep at some points because it was the same loop over and over and over again with no change in the pace or anything. The swinging in this game looks gorgeous, but to make it even more impactful, and again, to beat the Arkham games, because when you're flying around the city as Batman, gliding, and then driving the Batmobile, you don't hear any background music. You just hear the wind of the city, the sirens of the cop cars, chasing criminals, the criminals, which is cool because you're immersed in the city. But when you're just swinging around in New York City for Spider-Man PS4, you want to just be immersed into that game and have a totally amazing world to go and explore with cool background music in the background, of course, which GTA did really great. Assassin's Creed 4 did that amazingly, so hopefully Insomniac Games can incorporate that into Spider-Man PS4. Seeing what they did with Sunset Overdrive, they could easily input the music with that, or like similar type of music with that into Spider-Man PS4. So that's number 4. Number 5, and the final one for this list, is dynamic and interactable maps. So if you look at the mini-map and the main map for Sunset Overdrive, it fits the theme of that game. Like, you see the cracks in the screen with your health bar on the left-hand corner, and then the mini-map on the lower right-hand corner with, like, it looks like the screen is cracked, like the glass is kind of shattered, because it's crazy. Like, the game itself is just one crazy ride, so the theme, the hub of that game is supposed to represent that. Same thing with Ratchet and Clank. There is no hub, but when the maps are used, they have really kind of retro-futuristic-looking maps that really fit with the game. With this game, I would love to see a mixture between Ratchet and Clank PS4's maps and Sunset Overdrive's hub. Or HUD, I should say. Not hub. But when they are mixed together, I want a really cool mini-map to appear on the screen. Not just like a circle with dots on it like we've had in Web of Shadows, or Spider-Man 2, or even Ultimate Spider-Man. The great thing about Ultimate Spider-Man is that the mini-map and the main map look like comic book pages. It looked like you were reading part of a comic. So I want them to try and incorporate that into Spider-Man PS4. Not like a comic, but try and make it so that everything is happening. Like, I mean, if you're seeing a crime happen, it should, bam, be on your mini-map or be on the big map, and try and interact with that. Also, with interactability when it comes to police cars chases, or thugs robbing a bank, a big boss coming out, or a main villain, a bigger threat coming out. It should be more impactful, and it should pop up bigger and more frequently depending on the threat that's happening, and more unanimously depending on how often a major threat is happening in New York City. And that way it can, like, add more depth to the game. It can, like, one-up Arkham. Again, with Arkham, there was no mini-map, but there were the huge maps, which kind of looked like the Wayne tech, Batman gadget tech that you could see, like that. Do a hybrid of Sunset Overdrive, Ratchet and Clank, and Batman Arkham Knight's maps and mini-maps, and combine it into one hybrid of a masterpiece to create a really diverse and unique experience for us to interact with the city and Spider-Man's world. So thank you so much for watching, True Believers. I hope you enjoyed my list. I'm sorry for not going over the web wheel. It's going to be a whole different video about that. I have a lot of ideas going around about what the web wheel is, so I want to make that a video of its own. I'm sorry for putting out these videos later than I would want to. I've been really, really busy recently with college. I'm not liking it at all. I do apologize, but I'm going to do my best for you guys, because I love all of you guys, and without you guys, this channel wouldn't exist. So thank you so much for watching, True Believers. Stay spectacular, everybody. Peace out.